Is the U.S. running low on its weapon stockpiles because of the war in Iran? The people that seem to think so are being threatened with arrest. Let's get into it. So, according to a new analysis from the Center for Strategic and International Studies, the war of aggression in Iran has depleted inventories of key U.S. munitions. Now, the report, which looked at 7 critical weapon systems heavily used in the war, claims that replenishing these stockpiles and these systems will take anywhere from several months to more than 3 years. So, Tomahawk cruise missiles, THAAD interceptors, and Patriot missiles, which have been heavily used during the war, are not expected to return to pre war inventory levels until at least 2029 or maybe even early 2031. This is in addition to the interceptors and radar systems that Iran is strategically destroying. Simply put, with no end in sight with this war of aggression, the U.S. has created a window of vulnerability for itself for any future conflicts they plan to start, including possible meddling in the Western Pacific. Now, despite these findings, the Trump administration has pushed back against the narrative of a so-called shortage. That's what they're saying. In a statement to the Wall Street Journal, Trump insisted that the U.S. has far more munitions than anyone in the world and far more than we need, dismissing all reports of dwindling supplies as a disgrace. Now, this administration's response has gone beyond denial, right? UN Ambassador Mike Waltz, appearing on NBC's Meet the Press, escalated the rhetoric by stating that individuals leaking information about munition shortages deserve to be in jail. Direct quote, by the way. He doubled down on the administration's position, saying that the U.S. remains locked and loaded and fully capable of conducting strikes against Iran. Now, the damage to America's stockpiles is already hitting its proxies hard, and the fallout came in waves throughout the first part of 2026. The first sign came in March when the U.S. quietly moved all 6 THAAD launcher vehicles from their base in South Korea to another base. Now, this move had people thinking that these systems were being sent to the Middle East, and they came just days after a U.S. official told the Wall Street Journal on March 6th that the Pentagon was rushing to replace a THAAD radar that was damaged in an Iranian drone strike in Jordan. Now, these systems were eventually returned. Then, in early May 2026, Pete Hegseth called his Japanese counterpart to break the news. The 400 Tomahawk missiles that they were supposed to get in April 2028 were being indefinitely delayed, with some deliveries pushed back by up to 2 years. A week later, the acting Navy secretary told a Senate committee that $14 billion in weapons bound for Taiwan had been paused so that the U.S. could refill its own depleted shelves. And it does not stop there. The U.S. is also struggling to juggle Patriot orders from Saudi Arabia and Germany while still trying to send missiles to the Ukraine. They've got their little fingers everywhere. And the crazy thing is the U.S. has all the money in the world for these weapons and for war, but the problem isn't money, it's time, and the U.S. is running out of it. Even with the Trump administration's $1 trillion war budget and new framework agreements with weapons manufacturers to expedite and expand production capacity, rebuilding these weapon systems takes time. It takes years. The Pentagon is reportedly already rationing some weaponry due to diminishing supplies. But according to the Trump administration, everything is just fine in the war machine. This is Monique with the Black Belt Daily, signing out.